Okay, so after a couple hours of fiddling with this thing, we found a couple of issues. You saw that before we had the threaded hole, or the bolt was cutting threads into this hole because it wasn't properly aligned. So we clearanced the holes, but also found that this back hole was about 20 thousandths off center. It wasn't centered up. That's why we were having contact on this side, not on this side. So I moved the hole over a little bit so it's centered now. But when we put it back in the fixture to check it, it was still moving a lot. And it took me a while to figure out what was going on. And it's actually something inherent to the design of how it's made, and I'll show you what's going on here. You saw the last video, how I put that same barreled action in a factory Tikka T1X stock, and it hardly moved at all. And the reason that is you look here, here's the rear action screw. You see how we have this, there's no V-block effect on this. The Tikka makes contact in this little radius right around the bolt. It pulls it down into contact with these two flats. There's on either side. So the action is actually setting on these flats. Same within the front too. You got a flat here and you got a flat here. When you tighten the bolt, you pull it down into contact with these flats. On this particular chassis, you can see they only have a flat on the front, nothing behind it, the front screw. And on the back, there's a flat here. You see this little bluing there because I blued the action, and it's contacting on these flats here. In addition to these areas on each side, it's contacting the flat here and the flat here. But because there's nothing on this side of each hole, when you tighten the action down into the stock, it's forcing the action into sort of a bow because there's no support on one side of each one of these holes. So the action is just perched on this little end here and this little end here with the bolts in between. So it tends to pull the action into a bow. And I kind of confirmed that because when we had it in the fixture, the barrel was moving away from the end of the stock as we tightened it, which is kind of weird. It's not what you'd expect, but as you tightened it, it would actually pull the front of the barrel away from the stock, sort of like this. And that wouldn't make sense if you were pulling the action to a bow like that. Then the muzzle, when you tighten it, then the muzzle is going to go up as you tighten it, which is kind of the opposite of what you'd expect. But in any case, that's what was happening in this case. So I don't think there's any way to make this thing work unless it's epoxy bedded. And I'm going to contact the customer and see if he wants to go that route. And if he does, then that's probably the only way to make this thing work. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll keep you filled in how it goes.